Hey, so my name is Anna, and I'm gonna start talking about some milestones that happen during the psychosocial development of an emerging and young adult. So first of all, we have recentering, which is the process in which a young adult gains this sense of identity. We have three stages in recentering. The first one, the beginning, in which a young adult starts gaining this sense of sufficiency and looks through the origin of its family. We have the second stage, which is emerging, in which a young adult looks at its family origin, but no longer has this sense of need of it, but it stays connected to its family origin. And the third stage, which usually starts at age 30, in which a adult has this complete sense of independence. The second one is models of development, in which we have normative changes. Normative changes are these changes that use or must happen according to society, and theoretical approaches, in which we have psychosocial changes and identity personality. Our third milestone is normative stage of models, in which certain points of life, important events happen during this stage of life, and changes most of them being personal goals. Young adults don't happen to have the same personal goals as they used to have in children. Relationships, and here comes sexual relationships, love relationships, different type of relationships, and work. They usually have to get a more serious job. The fourth milestone is individual pathways to adulthood. These are different paths that young adults happen to have to turn or go to a complete adulthood, which is sexuality, which is not the same as gender. Sexuality, the way that they identify or they discover the type of relationships that they have different expectations, they have different ways of income, they have different goals, they also have different ways of involving with other people, being friends, family, co-workers. Another milestone happens in this change from adolescence, which are specifically changes in social roles. A young adult doesn't have the same role in society as a teen. They also have changes, but in physical changes, and as well as brain evolution. That's why young adults are able to drink differently than teens, because their brain develops in it's more developed. Now, our final milestones are 5 dimensions, in which we have the psychosocial development. The first one is agreeableness, in which a young adult decides whether to trust or not trust in someone. We have consciousness, in which an adult decides to be organized, not organized, in their space, their life, their economical situationship. Openness to experience, which is really important. young adults tend to decide whether to have new jobs, new relationships, or just stay with their past one from their teen years. They all also have this extra version whether they decide to have or they decide how they um, tend to have these social interactions and which social interactions they decide to keep or to maintain. And the last one is neuroticism, which affects their stability, specifically talking in a mentally way. So they decide to have a stable mentality.
I'm Andrea, and let me see. Let me. I'm Andrea, and let me tell you other two milestones. The the number six is that for many young adults today is a normal situation that emerging in this stage could be some complicated, because it's a stage of experimentation to to know new things, and before assuming new roles and responsibilities. The last milestone is that when young people leave their home, their center with their family, they must complete the negotiation of autonomy, because when the adolescence is completed, they must to redefine their their new life. So they have to build their new relationship with their fathers. Um, the first description is that there are five main factors in this stage of young adulthood. The first one is experimentation, when they are in a new environment and be the they're a new having a new coming. The next one is the commitment to do new things, to apport the friendships, yeah, to build solid relationships, to move on and grow, yeah. And the family well-being, as I said, they must to move on without them, of course with their support, but be most independent. And the emotional stability, as having new changes, having um, to be independent, they must to have it. It is so important to be account with it. Yeah, some personality traits. This is a stage when they build them, when must be so solid to have it. For example, the trained models, the clusters, the timing event on events. For example, I I had a difficult situation in my job, so this must be a new personality trait in me. The stress, for example, and normative traits as personal goals and relationships, or maybe could be from the childhood. The description of the intimacy versus isolation. It Intimacy refers to fulfill. I mean to be fulfill to have fulfillment, to achieve um, a big expectation that they had. For example, to obtain a new job, to get the house of the dream house, yeah, and sacrifice, compromise. The adulthood, as I said, this stage that is could be complicated, and the isolation refers to risks. Uh, to do new actions, but having an ethical sense. The fourth one is the big dimensions. I will explain this more because it refers also to it is linked to a well-being and health situation, and also to it is related to the construction of a good relationship with the parents. And also it's important to know that every culture have norms about the right, but this normative stage are theoretical approaches that hold that adult follows a basic sequence of age, as I said, or in class we talk about it, that the age is related to psychosocial changes.
Bueno, yo soy Bruno y ya para ir cerrando voy a darles algunas sugerencias, primero para los padres de jóvenes y de adultos y después para los profesores de jóvenes adultos. La primera sugerencia que quiero darles es brindar apoyo y cariño, ya que aunque los hijos ya son grandes, todavía necesitan de ese amor y de ese apoyo emocional de los padres. La segunda sería respetar su independencia, ya que los hijos ya pueden tomar decisiones y no es necesario que trates de controlarlo. Es mejor que lo escuches y lo apoyes si es que él te lo pide. Y como última recomendación para los padres, sería el tener una buena relación, que se hable con respeto, ya que el tener una buena relación ayuda a que el niño se pueda sentir bien consigo mismo. Y por otro lado, algunas sugerencias que puedo dar para los profesores de jóvenes adultos. La primera sería apoyar la independencia, ya que los estudiantes ya están aprendiendo a ser mucho más independientes, entonces hay que dejarlos decidir y solamente ofrecer ayuda y si la necesitan la tomarán. La segunda sería respetar sus diferencias, ya que cada estudiante es diferente, cada estudiante tiene un contexto diferente, viene de familias distintas, de diferentes culturas, de caminos distintos, y pues no todos son iguales y no se les puede tratar de la misma manera. Entonces hay que aprender a respetar esas diferencias. Y por último, el docente debe aprender a fomentar buenas relaciones, a ayudarlos a que ellos puedan hablar bien con los demás y que se sientan en un ambiente seguro y felices.